Welcome to our new video. We are the Christ fam. I'm Joshua. Next to me is Alex, and we're gonna talk about a really interesting topic today. So keep on watching.
Welcome to our channel. We are the Christ fam. Well, I mean, you're also part of the Christ fam, but whatever. This is at least the Christ fam YouTube channel hosted by none other than us. So let's get started.
Before we start, hit that subscribe button and then we're gonna see you again. So before we start with what you did some years ago, maybe you could tell the people who you are.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Alex. I live in Germany. I work for a local church called Frontline Community, and I'm their office admin / event coordinator / German speaker extraordinaire.
Okay, awesome. So you had a really awesome mission some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could tell just what that is.
Yeah. So in 2018, I went to India for a little over 10 months, working with a Christian organization who fights against modern slavery and human trafficking.
Okay, so how did that look? How did you fight against human trafficking?
Mm-hmm. So all us folks who came from Germany, the US, the UK, we had consultant roles within the organization. I worked with the investigative team because of my background in law enforcement. And our mission was to, in essence, free girls from forced prostitution, mainly underage girls. However, if we came across women of age who were forced into prostitution, we would free them as well. And it pretty much we worked with informants a lot who had connections to local pimps, and through them we would find out where underage girls were being held, and then we coordinated with the police to free them from those locations.
How did that whole process look? Freeing?
So usually what would happen is we would get information from an informant saying, hey, I have contact with a pimp, or I have contact with a girl. And he would pass that information to our organization. We would then try to verify the information. I won't go into too much detail, but we would just try to verify it, and then we would coordinate with local police, and then set a time for the rescue. And then the day of the rescue, we would usually have a meeting just to get on the same page, making sure that all our T's are crossed and I's are dotted, and that we try to keep our team safe and the girls safe. Then we would go to the location, and someone would make contact with either the pimp or the girl, because a lot of times the girls seem to work autonomously. However, the pimp is either nearby or even in the same location. And then we would send a signal to the rest of the team once we ascertained that the girls were actually in the location that day, and because they move around a lot. And then we with the police mainly, would swarm the location and arrest the pimps and rescue the girls.
Were there often like those big buildings with a lot of girls, or were they mainly in like small houses with just 2 or 3 girls? And how was that?
Yeah, that's what we're seeing more nowadays, is just local apartments or local hotels with a few girls, as little as 1 girl, but usually about 2 or 3. And that really stems from that 10 to 15 years ago, girls were offered for sex in local brothels. So it was much more obvious where the girls were being held. A lot of work has been done to eradicate that, which is great. However, has forced people to go more underground with it. So in the local brothels, prostitution is still rampant, but you see women that are of age, adult women. And then the underage girls are more trafficked through a network. So it works more like getting a phone number from somebody, contacting a person who then might contact a pimp until you establish a relationship with the pimp, or you establish a relationship with the girl, obviously always knowing that the pimp controls her. So it's harder to find the girls nowadays because they are sold more so in apartments or in hotels, and they switch locations a lot too.
Okay, but I guess it's a bit more safe for you going in there because there are not that many people like in those big buildings before?
Yes, so for the most part, in the brothels, obviously you have to deal with more people present at one time. So yes, it can make for a safer environment. It really depends on where the location is that day. So there's some places, if it's a big hotel, that's probably one of the safest spots, but it could just as well be a weird little apartment building in a slum. Then you're dealing with a bunch of other things that you normally don't have to deal with. And there's actually, I mean, the thing is, Mumbai is a city of 24 million people, so there's always people. It's really hard to imagine, but I've never seen an empty street corner in Mumbai. There's just a ton of people everywhere.
Wow.
So yeah.
Are the girls most likely going to your company, or are there like contact people telling, oh, you are underage, do you want to do that? Maybe it could help you. So are the girls are they coming to you? Or are they?
No, usually the girls are very ignorant of any help that they could receive. You got to understand, these are young girls that come often from Bangladesh or rural areas in India. They don't have much of a school education. They are lured to the big cities with the promise of marriage or the promise of a good job, and then just find themselves in prostitution. So they don't know what options they have at all. They don't know often that these organizations even exist. They don't trust the police, so they don't go to the police. If the pimp would even allow them that much freedom to be able to contact somebody, right? So what usually happens is people that are somehow affiliated with that lifestyle are the ones that pass the information. Because I like to believe that most people don't like underage girls being sold for sex. For some reason, when they're underage, it feels worse. And then others do it, other informants do it because they receive money for it, and so they find the information for monetary gain, but it's still information. So.
What was the most impressive moment you had on that journey?
One of the things that just really sunk in with me and that stuck with me was we had, towards the end of my time there, we had an event where we celebrated some of the policemen, some of the social workers that really had done a fabulous job with some of the girls that were rescued years prior. And at the celebration, we had about 10 girls that had been rescued, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Who at that time were 13, 14, 15 years old. And now they were like 18, 19, 20 years old. And they were, they were normal young ladies. They acted like anybody that hasn't been through that much trauma. And they had hopes and dreams for the future. And they were studying to be lawyers and nurses and chefs. And one of them had gotten married, and all those things are just so, when that girl initially gets rescued, they're so far from being possible that when you see them having walked through that journey and coming out on the other side, not unscathed, but so much better, that's really awesome. Then it really comes, it gives you kind of that reality check of, that's why you did it, that's why you tried to help, because when you're at your lowest times, and there are low times when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, you sometimes think there's so many girls, and just more and more keep coming. Why are we even doing this? And when you then see some of the girls on the other side of the process, it just really is encouraging to see.
You told us some minutes ago about that local church. Maybe you could tell that again.
Yeah, so we worked with a local church there, a local slum church who, so when I say slum church, a very, very poor church, a lot of the people that attended that church live in slums themselves. So they don't have a lot of money, but they had a big heart, and they had a big heart for the girls. They supported a lot of their education even, but they also had a big heart for children of prostitutes. So what they ended up doing was they built a kind of like a daycare center in one of the red light areas in Mumbai, where the women who work in prostitution in that red light area could bring their children during the day. And what that prevents, to give you the impact of it, what happens a lot of times when women have children, women who work in prostitution, in order to prevent their children from seeing what their mothers have to go through, they will get their children drunk, or they will get their children high, and you know, kind of put them under the bed or somewhere in the room, because a lot of these huts in the red light area is just one room. You know, the women are doing that because they think they help their children, so their children don't have to see what their mothers have to go through. However, obviously, feeding your child alcohol and drugs is not a great thing. And so this daycare center just really enables the women to have a safe place for their child. The children can play and learn and get a proper meal and all these kinds of things. And yeah, this 2-story building is built and run by this church. And it's like all the people that go to the church there just put the money towards it and put their labor towards it. And that was just really awesome to see.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What would you recommend others, like girls? I guess you are just allowed to do that at the age of 18 or older. But would you recommend that for girls watching now?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, I mean, if God puts it on your heart, definitely do it anyways, right? Because He has a plan for that. But if you're interested in it, I would definitely say do any type of mission work. If you want to work with organizations that fight modern day slavery, I would say try to prepare yourself the best you can. Know that the subject matter is very difficult to deal with at times. And also know that you might have to take a little bit of a step back, working with the local people, because they just fit that environment so much better. And, you know, as a white person or a person that doesn't fit the demographic there, you really stick out like a sore thumb. So you might have to be more of a background player, but try to support the team that way. But I would definitely say any mission work in a foreign country in particular just broadens your horizons so much that I would recommend it to anybody, male or female. I would say the younger you are, the better, because you're very flexible still, and it'll just serve you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's amazing. So if you want to do that, we want to encourage you. You can do that. You can do a change in that world. And we thank you, Alex. Thanks for telling us that, and we hope you have a good rest of your day.